I want to go across to Salman Soos, who knows a thing about the financial markets, to try and explain why this is a scam. The fact that people will take positions once they know what's in the exit polls and that they seek to profit from it, that's just the nature of the stock markets. Why is Rahul Gandhi making it seem as if there was some major scam? Try and explain that, and then we'll try and peel the layers of what you're saying. Salman Soos.
Rahul, if you follow the trajectory of the stock market, and you also follow the trajectory of what senior BJP leaders have been saying, pumping up the stock market all along, and this has not just been in the last few days. It was, I think it started in May.
So Salman, I'll come to the morality of the HM and the PM talking about the markets in a moment. That's part of my show. I'm just trying to understand. All the channels put out the exit polls. The next morning, all operators, whoever wants to take a position, takes a position on it. The polls don't come out to be true. The markets crash. Those who've taken short positions cut their losses, come out. Where is the scam? I'm trying to understand. What's the scam you're alleging?
Rahul, let me explain. All market players are not the same. I mean, you cannot argue persuasively that say foreign investors who are putting in portfolio investments, they're the same as a retail investor who's basically investing on his own kind of knowledge research. Now, you can say that it is their fault, retail investors, if they invest during a volatile time, but we know that market participants are not all built the same. And that is not how the stock market...
No, I'm trying to ask you, Mr. Soos, what's the scam you're alleging? Just try and explain the scam, then we'll get into it. What's the scam?
The scam is that the market fluctuations that we've seen as a direct result of one, exit polls that were all exit polls except on your show. None of them have produced their methodology. None. Nobody has made anything public.
No, you don't like the exit. That's fine. You don't like the exit polls, and the exit polls were wrong. That's correct.
That's one. Wait a second. Then the Prime Minister says, I know that we're going to have a record stock market on June 4th. What is the signal that these people were sending to common investors? Everything is good. You just go and buy these stocks and other things. And what
hold that thought. I think I try and understand what you're saying. You're not able to explain where the scam is. You're on the question of the Prime Minister and the Home Minister talking up the markets. You know, typically, yes, Mr. Malviya, that doesn't happen. Sir, you haven't explained the scam, but I'll come to that in a moment.
But that is, no, Rahul,
yeah, that's bad enough. That's bad enough.
Rahul, that is exactly the scam. If you're pumping up the market and then the market crashes, when you know that when your own internal polls are saying that you're not...
But how do you know the internal polls were saying 220 seats? Mr. Soos, how do you know the internal polls were saying 220 seats? You don't know that.
Well, let the Bharatiya Janata... That is why we need an investigation. Let them come out. We should ask the Prime Minister and the Home Minister and the Finance Minister.
But you haven't explained the scam. So why I ask is, yes, Rahul, after the results came, the markets crashed. Since then, they've already recovered most of the lost ground.
But those who have been left with the losses, that is 371 billion with a B, dollars. That's 10% of the Indian economy was lost, was erased. Now, some people...
Sir, but that's the nature of the markets. When you go in and you take a position which is a punt, that's the risk that you take.
Sorry, my electricity is gone. Thank you very much.
No, don't worry. You fix that light. I'll come to you. I've kind of understood what you're saying. Let Mr. Malviya comment on why the Prime Minister and the Home Minister were talking up the markets. Typically, senior politicians, including finance ministers, and most definitely not the Prime Minister and the Home Minister, they don't give market advice. Why were top leaders of your party, Mr. Malviya, giving market advice to investors?
Rahul, I'm not going to tie myself in knots like Salman Soos just did, but you have to hear me out, because this is something which is technical, and therefore, let me give you the facts. 31st May 2024, when the market closed, until date, which is 6 June 2024, the BSE Sensex is up by 1,150 points, which is roughly about 1.55%. The investors have made rupees 7.5 trillion gain in the last 4 days of trading. In the last 2 days alone, the market has rebounded 3,000 points and investors have regained 21 lakh crore rupees. I'm talking about the gains and the growth that the investors may have seen in their portfolios if they were holding on to their portfolios. Now, I can't quite understand where is the scam here. Is it Rahul Gandhi's argument that markets should be unidirectional, there should be no profits booking, buying, selling? What is his argument? I can't quite
So
figure
can I
it
hold
out.
you for a
Even
second?
the
You aren't
Congress
answering,
spokesperson
you're explaining the
struggled
larger
to
picture about how
actually
markets
say where
work,
the scam
and that is correct. But the specific question is, why was the Prime Minister and the Home Minister talking up the markets? Why were they giving advice to retail investors? Is that correct?
Before I could come to the question that you asked, you interjected me. So now
Okay.
let me explain that. The Prime Minister gave almost 80 interviews, including several to your channel. Journalists, particularly the ones who cover business, finance, markets, asked them specific questions. How do they see the economy? How do they see the markets? And everybody who spoke to financial journalists said that given how the economy has performed, and if you remember, the GDP numbers had just come out and India had clocked 8.2% for the quarter that just went by, naturally the sentiment was very good. India's export is approximately $776 billion. Our reserves are very healthy at around $750 plus. Given such a scenario, the sense was that the market would do very well. There was an expectation that Prime Minister Modi-led government will come back again for a third term. The market had already discounted this news, and in fact, before it closed on 31st of May, which was the last day of the trading in the previous week, the market had already seen a peak. Now, this is not unusual for markets to react to news, whether it is exit poll, whether it is the GDP number, whether it is the labor survey. Markets react to various information that is coming out, including calamities of different kinds, and that is what investors and investing is all about. Now, I can't quite understand how should your exit poll, for instance, be blamed for the market movement. Is this the first time that anybody has done an exit poll? Every time an election is held, there's an exit poll that follows. It's an exercise that's done world over. Nobody alleged a scam at that point in time. If you are asked a question and if you respond to how the economic indicators are emerging, because nobody stopped the GDP number from coming out just because we had an election going on.
Salman, so
Just because it
respond to
happened
Amit
be
Malviya.
8.2%,
Amit
it
Malviya is
obviously
right that
bumped
both
up
the finance,
markets.
both the Prime Minister and the Home Minister were asked questions by business journalists or journalists working with organizations which have like financial outlets. They were asked a question, what else do you expect them to say? They say, invest karo. You know, he's not going to say, don't invest. It's not like he wanted to put that in. He was asked a question. What else? If you were asked and if you had a government, you would say, we're thinking that they'll do well. That's his response. Respond to that.
Let me say what if somebody had asked me, and by the way, I know a little bit about the markets compared to our Prime Minister, for example, I would say that this is not something that I should be getting into. We should wait, this whole idea that the markets are going to touch record levels, that's what the Prime Minister said. Record levels. On June 4th, market will be touching record levels. Now, Rahul, here's the scam. If you want to know what the scam is. The scam is that people who are really, investors who have all the knowledge and know-how about what valuations are, they're not going to be swayed by what the Prime Minister says or what Amit Shah says, because they know that these are relatively, uneducated people about the market. We should not listen to them. But there are millions upon millions of people who trust the Prime Minister and the Home Minister, but who may not be as market savvy. And they look at the Prime Minister, they think, oh, these guys know what's happening. These guys must have all the internal surveys about what is happening with this election. These guys are saying it's going to touch record numbers. We should invest. Now,
but Salman, so that's a very naive way of looking at it, because people hear all kinds of investment advice on business channels all the time. They make up their mind on whether they want to invest. Anybody who's investing in the markets is not taking cues from one person or the other. But hold that for a moment. Siddharth Zarabi, it is kind of awkward for top leaders to be wanting to talk up the markets. Usually when finance ministers are asked, they say, our job is to make policy, we don't give market advice, we don't really bother very much about the markets. Do you find it odd that the Prime Minister and the Home Minister made the comments that they did?
Exactly 20 years ago when the UPA came into shock power, are they forgetting what happened to the markets? Then a 15.52% down move on the Sensex at that time. And they said, disinvestment be damned, we don't care about the markets. We had an interim finance minister, he couldn't do anything. We had a SEBI chief, they were looking at the markets rise and fall. When the UPA came in, market fall was good. When exit polls come in, you require a JPC. Just 2-3 facts, Rahul, to put this into context, because, we can't take political sides. What are the facts? The fact is, there is a framework called where a registered investment advisor can give market advice. Were specific stocks spoken about? No. This is general chatter in response to a question. Be that as it may, it's for the SEBI to respond on this. The Parliament does not cover the markets. There is a proper regulated entity. Look at the Nifty. The Nifty has recovered by almost 1,580 points over that time. And I have 2 affidavits here with me. Rahul Gandhi's stock portfolio declared as part of his election portfolio with a date of 15th March, a value of 4.33 crore only on his listed securities, not the rest of the...
So he invests directly in the market?
Absolutely. There are 25 shares, Alkaline Amines, Asian Paints, Bajaj Finance, Deepak Nitrite, Divi's. There is also a list of the entire listed security invested and a much longer and larger list of Home Minister Amit Shah. Now, in both cases...
But neither of these are a scam. They're allowed to invest.
No, absolutely. And I've just been trying to do the maths last moment. It's clear that Mr. Rahul Gandhi's portfolio has improved. In fact, the total value of his listed shareholding is higher than what he had filed it on 15 March. Similar would be the case with Amit Shah. And by the way, for those who might be interested, Rahul Gandhi's stock picking is very smart. He has large cap index stocks. The Home Minister's stock holding is spread all over, including many companies whose names are no longer in favor with investors.
No, because he told me, I asked him this question. He said, I don't touch the portfolio I have. It's kind of lying as is.
Absolutely. That is why to say from a market perspective that something is deliberate is very off, because then within 3 days, it's recovered. And one final point, Rahul, before you go to your other guests. I have a question to raise of the Election Commission, which many established stock market names have said on record on Business Today television. Those videos and clips are out there. They said if the exit polls, and the market was only not responding to exit polls, they were responding to GDP data, they were responding to S&P, they were responding to 100 tons of gold being brought back. If the exit polls came on Saturday evening, there was a Sunday, and then there was counting on Tuesday. Now the Election Commission wouldn't have thought of it. Experts asked that shouldn't the Election Commission have been cognizant of it, that counting should have happened on Monday morning. So there are...
The Election Commission is not looking at the markets and deciding when to have the counting day.
Exactly. Therefore, to say that there is a design is very difficult when you look at the facts.
So Arun Kejriwal, here's the reality. Rahul Gandhi didn't properly explain. I don't think Salman Soz has been able to either. But here is what the scam could potentially be. If somebody had prior information and had taken positions based on the exit polls, that can potentially still be a scam because that's insider trading, but not really, because not linked to any one company, but that's morally wrong. That's something that you can investigate. If the markets are closed on Saturday, Sunday again the markets are closed, they open on Monday, the information is with everyone.
Yeah.
The information by then is with everyone. Everyone can, and everybody in the markets, when they take a position, that's how they do. You get information. Siddharth mentioned gold, you've got the S&P index, whatever it is, you take your cues based on public information. Do you, at any level, sense a scam here? What could the scam be?
Let me tell you what the scam is. The scam is what happened in 2009 when the UPA came back to power in their second term. Within a minute of markets opening, we hit the upper circuit. And within another minute of the market reopening, we hit the upper circuit. Why did this happen? Because in 2004, when the Vajpayee government lost, there was a down circuit. So to show vengeance, we are back with a vengeance. This happened. Mind you, I'm talking of an era when volumes were not even a couple of percentage points of what they are today. What foreigners did is what moved the markets completely. Today, we have a very vibrant domestic institution led market, which is backed by millions and millions of retail investors through SIPs, where the SIP number has already crossed 25,000 crores per month. The scenario has changed completely. Coming to your point, which you had asked your other guests about the finance minister and about the home minister, I remember on your show hearing the finance minister saying when the market was at down circuit, because at that time we used to have one consistent irritant, that was the participatory note issue of Mauritius based entities, where the finance minister has repeatedly said, even as we speak, when the market is closed for a circuit break, FIIs are buying. FIIs are buying. If this is not insider trading for a closed market, what is? I don't read much into what has been said. The fact of the matter is, I have done so well compared to what I did in the previous election. I should be the prime minister. I should be the ruling party. First, the attack was you resigned because you've lost morally. Now you resign because you've done a scam. And let me take you back. I mean, you do get carried away from the market to also politically. Rafael, Chaukidar Chor hai. So there is a reason to cry and cry and cry each time.